No, he's got to put on a good show.
Boys, we can argue about this more off the air, because right now we're going to turn our attention to the recent past of Japanese MMA. You know, not so long ago, Japan was the center of the MMA universe back in the days of Pride FC. Really one of the greatest promotions ever. No one disputes that. But Pride fell apart in 2006, and now we have an exclusive account of how Japanese gangsters took it down. Check this out.
In its heyday in the early 2000s, Pride was Japan's premier promotion and the international pinnacle of mixed martial arts.
We were there at the top of the MMA world.
They had an arena with 120,000 people watching live.
They had special effects that were like magic tricks for the live audience.
Enormous crowds of Japanese fans gathered to watch the world's greatest fighters in bouts as brutal and dramatic as any the sport has ever seen.
There was a danger element which really rode that fine line. Some of these fights, it was really raw. It was pretty surreal.
But the memory of Pride's glory is forever tarnished by its stunning downfall. In 2006, the promotion was abruptly dropped from its television deal with Fuji TV, amidst rumors of match fixing, death threats, and the influence of the Japanese mafia, known as the Yakuza.
By losing the TV deal, they lost everything.
As soon as Fuji pulled the plug on Pride, it was like a little pinhole in a giant balloon. Pretty soon all that air is going to go out of that balloon and it's going to go down.
Pride was forced to sell out to the UFC in 2007, and the promotion was shuttered a year later. UFC President Dana White later told Fighters Only magazine that he wanted to keep Pride alive, but said the mafia runs that place, and it's very hard to do business over there. 5 years later, the debate still rages as to how deeply the Yakuza was involved in Pride.
Every single entertainment business or promotion business, sporting event, anything has a Yakuza involvement, period.
The Yakuza was deeply involved in Pride. They had a hands-on communication with the people of Pride.
Never did I see, hear, witness any Yakuza involvement in Pride Fighting Championships whatsoever. The myth seemed to grow over the years, like it's the Goodfellas and Sopranos, but no, it wasn't like that.
But now, for the first time anywhere, a key player in the events that led to Pride's downfall has agreed to tell his story. Meet Miro Mijatovic, a lawyer best known in the MMA world for having managed two of the most famous fighters of the Pride era, Fyodor Emelianenko and Mirko Cro Cop. In 2003, after a dispute with Pride, Miro's life was changed forever when he was kidnapped by the Yakuza.
One of the guys pulled out his gun, put it on the table, and we continued to talk. And when I continued to push back, he picked the gun up and aimed it to my head and said, "You know what's going to happen if you don't sign."
Now don't go anywhere, because when we get back, Miro goes on the run from the Japanese mob.
I knew they'd put out, or the police told me that there was a contract out on my life.
And welcome back to MMA Uncensored Live. Let's go back to MMA manager Miro Mijatovic as he explains the fall of Pride FC and why the Japanese mafia put a price tag on his head.
As the manager of MMA superstar Mirko Cro Cop and Fyodor Emelianenko, Miro Mijatovic was never popular with Pride president Sakakibara or the power structure behind it.
The guys I represented tended to make a lot more money than the rest of the other fighters did, which was something obviously that wasn't impressing the owners of Pride too much. It's a zero-sum game. The more the fighters get, the less they get. And you know, they're not generous guys.
These tensions came to a head when Miro steered Fyodor away from Pride into a rival promotion, and Yoki Bumbaye, for its New Year's Eve 2003 show. In the month leading up to this event, Miro faced intimidation from Pride-affiliated Yakuza. Fyodor went ahead and fought at Yoki Bumbaye. And 3 days later, the threats against Miro became a reality.
Much to my great surprise, Sakakibara and 4 Yakuza guys turn up to the Okura Hotel in Kobe. I was told I had to sign over my rights to Fyodor or I wasn't going to leave Kobe alive.
In this situation, the 6'7" Miro had only one trump card to play.
I was fairly confident they weren't going to shoot me in the Okura Hotel. That's a bit difficult to deal with getting a body out especially a body my size, out the wall. So I felt I had a bit of room to push back on.
He was routed back to the Hilton Hotel in Tokyo for an encounter that would last for the next 2 days, culminating with the ultimate deal closer.
One of the guys pulled out his gun, put it on the table, and we continued to talk. And when I continued to push back, he picked the gun up and aimed it to my head and said, "You know what's going to happen if you don't sign."
Fearing for his life, Miro reluctantly signed Fyodor over to Pride, receiving nothing in compensation. This single instance of Yakuza extortion and what Miro chose to do about it ultimately led to the fall of Pride.
I just couldn't accept what had happened, and I decided that whatever it took, I was going to get Sakakibara.
Miro began collaborating with the Tokyo police and the Japanese equivalent of the FBI to build a case against Pride and its Yakuza backers. He also began living in constant fear.
And Sakakibara knew I'd gone to the cops. 2005 and 2006, I was in hiding. The police told me that there was a contract out on my life, so I always had false addresses. I changed where I lived on a monthly basis.
Finally, on June 5th, 2006, Miro's cooperation with authorities paid off in dramatic fashion.
The chief of the National Police Agency, which is the equivalent in Japan of the FBI, went to visit the president and the director of compliance at Fuji TV, and basically, the rest is history. As soon as the police left the Fuji TV meeting room, Fuji TV pulled the plug, sent out the press release that very famously came out, and cut all ties to Pride.
At long last, Miro had his revenge on Sakakibara, the Yakuza, and Pride.
Pride was going to be taken off TV, which meant they were going to be effectively destroyed, which was, for me, justice for what they'd done to my life.
Wow, it's really just amazing stuff there. And before we discuss it, we have to thank Miro for giving us the interview, and also our shooter-producer over in Japan, Daniel Herbertson. Also, a big thank you to Matt Dillon for helping voice that story. He really did a great job. Mike, there's a lot in there. We could probably spend a couple weeks talking about it, but what's the most glaring thing that sticks out to you in that piece?
Well, the conventional wisdom for people who follow MMA, Zach Arnold at Cage Potato, for instance, we all say that it was the Japanese magazines that really hammered the headlines saying that the Yakuza is involved with Pride, and that's why Fuji TV needs to drop them. And we all thought that was the case. But what Miro says is that there was actually an FBI sting, and that's really what brought down Pride.
Now, the three of us sitting here, only one of us was actually there, and that's you, Nate. You cornered for Dan Henderson, who, by the way, is going to join us live here in a couple of minutes. So you have the full life experience. What was it like, in the corner, and the whole Japanese experience for MMA?
Say what you want about the Yakuza. They can put on a show. I'm telling you, 67,000 people in the Tokyo Dome. Quiet as a church, monitors from the floor to the ceiling. Sakuraba comes out as Mario from Super Mario Brothers. And, I'm not going to go on the record about any fixes. I've seen a little bit of excessive blood pouring out of fighters' mouths, but I like my pinkies where they are, so I'm neither going to confirm nor deny that story.
Well, your experience was obviously a good one.
It was amazing. I can't really, I'm not going to confirm that I saw or did not see duffel bags full of money being handed to fighters.
I don't know Miro from Adam, so just to be devil's advocate here.
I don't know him either.
Maybe he's got a grudge. Maybe there's an agenda here because of his experiences. Has anyone else corroborated any of this independently?
Well, he could have a grudge. If you pull a gun on me, I'd have a grudge on you, too. But, yeah, there was the Elliot Ness of Japan, who was a guy who was an anti-Yakuza lawyer who was really at the forefront of really driving this home, and he died mysteriously, but he has corroborated this story independently. We did a lot of research on this piece.
It's a fascinating story, and there's more to it, and you can check out the extended interview with Miro at Spike.com. He explains how Pride fixed fights were fixed and how the Yakuza likes to do its assassinations. It's real. Check it out at Spike.com. Now, we have to step aside for 1 second, but when we get back, the